Hey guys, welcome back to Veli. And I know I'm a little late, but I'd love to talk about Star Wars Rogue One. And I think I'm fit to talk about it now since I have. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. I have seen it 6 times in theaters, so I kind of like it, I think. But yeah, obviously there's going to be spoilers, guys. I mean, it's been out for a couple weeks now, so I'm fine with doing that. So why have I seen it 6 times? Well, I'd first blame it to the fact that I've gone to see it with different groups of friends and people who haven't seen it, and I just love being with somebody else and enjoying their first time seeing it too. But also, I just loved the movie so much. And even after the first time watching it, I loved the way it ended. I loved the plot. I loved everything about it. And I was asking myself, like, is this my favorite Star Wars movie? Which I haven't really been able to answer at all before. But yeah, so let's talk about that. So first off, the plot, which is the most important part of a movie for me. I absolutely loved the plot in Rogue One. So that's basically what made the movie for me. I loved the progression. I liked how it was a slow beginning. It gave us time to learn who each of the characters were, which there was a lot of characters. So it did a good enough amount of explaining each of them. I mean, obviously, it couldn't go into complete details because there was, at least like 6 main characters, and then you got Krennic and so on. So yeah, I thought it did a good job explaining the characters enough. And it's not a character movie in some senses because it's also about, the Empire and the whole goal. It's not as much about the characters as it is the goal. It is a good balance between a character plot and a story plot. I tend to love story plots. People who love character plots, like the original trilogy, may have some problems with this, but I thought it was great. The reason I was like, the first time I came out of the movie, I was like, why did I like that plot so much more than A Force Awakens? Because all I could do after watching it was comparing it to The Force Awakens. Even though that's not entirely fair because, it's much farther in the future, and I'm gonna love this movie because of all the callbacks to the original trilogy, but I think I liked it a lot more because the plot was more complicated, and it was just complicated enough for regular moviegoers to understand it, about the Empire getting the Kyber crystals, collecting them from the old Jedi Temple, and using that to build the Death Star, and when the fact that Jin's father was, putting in the flaw in the Death Star, it gave a whole new meaning to A New Hope. Why that flaw was there, why I should care about the rebels more. It gave a whole new meaning to that. It also, comparing it to Force Awakens, the plot was, I mean, let's be honest, a lot simpler. It's almost, and some people who really want to hate on the film, The Force Awakens, will, say it's a copy and paste of A New Hope, which in some ways it is, but in a lot of ways, it brings new things to the table. Rogue One is not necessarily, completely new either. There was definitely some things that were copy and pasted to make a good story, but I loved how it did it. It did it in a great way that was really spectacular to watch. And it's definitely, like I said, a story plot. It tries to be a character plot in some ways, but it really is more about the overarching story that the characters have to do to get there. You had to explain each of these characters with the amount of time you had. So I thought that it did that good. I actually loved the characters. I loved, and I definitely loved Krennic as a villain. I thought he was a really good villain. I thought his acting was great in it. When a movie gets me to quote it, it's probably a good movie. So I like to quote Krennic stuff. I loved uh, the Tarkin stuff, which I will get to later. I thought Jin was a very cool main character, and she was probably the most underdeveloped character in the movie, but you get it from the sense that she wants to fight the Empire because that's what her father believes in, and she believes in her father and starts to believe in other people, which she wasn't able to do for her whole life. So that's the importance of her character. The first time around, I didn't really like Cassian, but the second time, the more I watch the movie, the more awesome I think Cassian is, because he has a mysterious, past which you don't get to learn about, and I really like his whole getup. I like his character a lot more. I think he's really badass. I thought Chero, I hope I'm saying his name right, was great. His fighting choreography. I know that the actor used to play in the Ip Man movies, so not surprised, but he was awesome, and I really loved his character. His death probably got me the most, besides Cassian and Jin's death. And then I also liked Baze. I did like Baze. I loved K2SO. The more I watched it, once again, I loved K2SO. I thought he was hilarious. He's probably the best droid in Star Wars. Bodhi was an interesting character because they were like, yeah, okay, I defected and stuff like that, but like his death just sucks. Like, yeah, he was able to alert the rebels that the message was coming, but he just dies right after that. It sucks. But I digress. I like the characters. But yeah. So I love the movie, obviously. But some things that I disliked were the fact that, and everything does this nowadays, what was up with the trailers? I mean, there was some shots in those trailers that could not have remotely fit in the pace of this movie. I did not get that at all. And I'm gonna pull this little clip from How It Should Have Ended's review of the movie, which you should go and watch. It's way better than this review will ever be. And yes, I'm gonna play that really fast.
Meanwhile, Rogue One's just like, nope, we're changing all that. Jin walking to the TIE fighter on the catwalk, didn't happen. Krennic talking to Vader on the Death Star, didn't happen. Jin running on the beach with the Death Star plans, didn't happen. Jin's epic turn to the camera in the Stormtrooper suit, didn't happen.
I rebel.
Didn't happen. Krennic walking in the burning beach, didn't happen. The Darth Vader reflection on the Death Star, didn't happen. What was the original cut of this movie? Something led to the beach, because Jin and Cassian somehow make their way down there at the end. So there's some pieces missing here. Either way, thanks a lot, trailers.
And I don't really think it's as much of there definitely was different cuts of the movie that Gareth Edwards was probably looking at. But definitely the biggest blame goes to the promotional group for putting these awesome shots in the trailers that just aren't supposed to be in the movies. The shot where Jin turns around and looks at the camera, like with the TIE fighter outfit on, or it looks like she's in a TIE fighter or something like that, ridiculous, was just apparently some random point. I read this in an article. Some random point on set where they were walking through one of the tunnels on set or something like that, and they turned on the lights, and the camera guy or the director just goes, "Oh my god!" And apparently, I forgot the actor's name, but Jin turns around. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, it looks great. Let me record that." So they did it where the lights turn on and she just turns around towards the camera. And he's like, "Yeah, that's great." And people were like, "Are we going to use that ever?" I don't know, but we have it now. And it was pulled for the trailers. And yeah, exactly. So, and then the other thing was, what was the other one? Oh yeah, the TIE fighter. Apparently the TIE fighter where Jin's walking on the balcony, and this was especially one I was looking forward to when watching the movie. I saw her walking on the balcony next to the satellite, and I was like, oh, here comes that TIE fighter. and then it never came. So the trailer group, promotional group, really kind of fucked some of that over for me. But I knew after I watched the second trailer, after I watched the third trailer, I'm like, I need to stop watching these trailers. There's too much in here. I cannot do. I'm gonna build this up too much. I can't do this. So yeah, always watch out for trailers because they're always gonna add in stuff and make you think things about the movie that will never come true. So that was kind of disappointing, to have the trailers do that for me. But I didn't build up the movie too much, so I was definitely a little bit skeptical the first time I heard about the movie. So I was still happy with it. Now, lastly, I'd like to talk about the CGI Tarkin and CGI Leia. Mostly CGI Tarkin, obviously. This is probably the biggest complaint in the movie. I'm glad they did it. I did not want another character stepping in for him. It just wouldn't have flowed right. It just, like, watching the other movie after it, like, it wouldn't have flowed right. I mean, it makes sense for the end of episode 3 when he walks up to Lord Vader or walks away at the end of episode 3, doesn't even say a line, and it's not close up. That's when you use a stand-in actor. But he had a lot of speaking parts. And in some shots, Tarkin looked great, and in some shots he didn't look so great. But I'm still glad that they did it, because it looked pretty good overall. It still looked robotic in some ways, even though that they painted over somebody's face. It still somehow looked robotic to me. I don't know why. I thought that the CGI Leia at the end was actually, like, great. Like, I couldn't even, like, it looked really clean, which is why you could tell it was fake, but, like, if you just looked at it as a still, like, it really does look like it's her. So I'm glad they did that too, and the shot from behind is apparently a different actor too. So I was glad that they did it that way. My father loved how it ended like that. Yeah, and so that, I'm glad that they did it that way. Yeah, so I loved the ending. They did have to all die. It wouldn't have made sense otherwise, and it makes their cause mean so much more to me, and bring a whole new meaning to, a new hope for me. To get those Death Star plans, and I thought that the ending was great. When the Death Star fires on the base, it blows up the satellite dish first. And I didn't realize this till the third time watching it, that Krennic dies the instant it hits that dish, because he's basically right below it on that platform. And he dies. He's looking at his own creation as he dies. And then, obviously, Cassian and Jyn die. And I thought it was pretty emotional, and I really liked it. I loved the movie, and I still don't know if it's my favorite Star Wars movie, but I'm pretty sure it is. I liked it. I can tell you, I loved it a lot more than The Force Awakens. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. I have 3 videos coming up here of the behind the scenes of how Star Wars could have gone, part 3, the stop motion. The first one's going to be explaining the story for people who don't know Star Wars that well. The second one will be a behind the scenes of the live action parts done, like the actual filming part. And the third video will be a behind the scenes of me editing it and animating it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.